Given the feeling that we all went into that game with, after the 5-0 against Leipzig, that is a huge cliff to fall off. To be beaten 1-0 by Arsenal at home, we hadn't lost to Arsenal, in 13 years in the Premier League at home? And it was a game where, let's be honest, Arsenal were largely shit, but United were worse. Today, there were so many problems, and it really is a case of United in one step forward and 2 steps back and 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, and the swings that happen from Tuesday and Wednesday to Saturday and Sunday, they're ridiculous, man. The consistency just isn't there. And today, in that starting 11, this is what I mean about starting 11s. That starting 11 that we played against Newcastle, I had so many questions about. We ended up winning that game 4-1, largely because the subs came on towards the end of the game and we changed it. But that starting 11 today, largely, I completely agreed with. I questioned why Fred was playing deeper than McTominay. And for me, that proved to be one of the most crucial points of the whole game. Not only was Fred a little bit lost in that defensive midfield role, especially after he got an early yellow card, which sort of took his ability to be aggressive away, McTominay had no idea what he was doing in that right central midfield position. And I honestly have no idea why Solskjaer decided to play Fred there. Why did he switch Fred and McTominay's position? Let me know what you think about that. I think that obviously the biggest talking point from today is going to be Paul Pogba's woeful decision-making process in the box. To go for Bellerin when you're the wrong side of the ball, 95% of the time you're going to give away a penalty. What are you doing, Paul? What are you doing? That is early level football IQ. If you're in the box against an opposition player and you're the wrong side of the ball with the player in between, you're going to give a penalty away. And he's given a couple of penalties away earlier this season. And unfortunately, he's going to bring the wrong sort of headlines on Pogba, who, for me, in the background in the last few games, I've enjoyed watching him play. But he was ineffective today. Fred was ineffective. McTominay was ineffective. Bruno Fernandes was ineffective. Greenwood, Rashford, the entire starting 11 was ineffective up against an Arsenal team which I did not feel really threatened us much at all. And any chances they had came through our mistakes. Arsenal were limp. Unfortunately, United were dead. So therefore, they got the goal, and when you give a player like Aubameyang a penalty, he'll bang it away. It doesn't matter if he hasn't scored in the last 5 games. It's Aubameyang. Last few years in the Premier League, he's been one of the best strikers, and he goes to show it with a wonderful penalty. But United there today, what's happened since Spurs, man? We've had the 6-1, then we had the 4-1 against Newcastle, we had the 2-1 away at PSG, then the 0-0 against Chelsea, which had very similar feelings to today, and then we had the 5-0 against Leipzig in between. And we started that diamond today, but it just didn't work. It really did not work. I don't know whether it was because Fred and McTominay simply switched positions, whether it was because Arsenal were playing with more of a press than Leipzig were. There's plenty of questions you can ask, but this is the reason why Solskjaer hasn't been able to take his managerial credibility up to the next level. Is because games like this crop up very regularly, especially amid good performances. Because with good performances, an individual good performance is great, but it has to build on that, to build momentum, to really shift forward and change the actual outlook for a football club and a football team. And unfortunately, this game against Arsenal, just takes us back to where we were. We've hit it in reverse a couple of weeks, and now we've got the same sort of feeling going into the next game that we may have had going into the Chelsea game, for example. And that's a real shame, because that 5-0 against Leipzig didn't just feel like a win for me. It felt like it could have been a turning point. But unfortunately, the players today did not perform. Name me a player today, let me know in the comments below, who you felt really sort of lived up to expectations. I'm looking at Rashford, Greenwood. I'm looking at McTominay, Fred, Pogba, Fernandes. I'm looking at a back 5 of Shaw, Lindelof, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka and De Gea. I'm not sure any player stands out for the right reasons. And that's my own opinion. You might disagree with that. But today was a real opportunity for United, as I said, to build on Newcastle, PSG, Chelsea, Leipzig, going into the Arsenal game. Fuck me, that is a hell of a run of fixtures. And we've done very well up until this point. So losing to 1-0 at Arsenal at home isn't the end of the world. But it's about spotting patterns, seeing things that can be improved. And United today were just not at the races on an individual basis. And when you break it down to individuals, it's when it's very hard for a team to really click together. Because you need those players on an individual basis playing very well before the team unit to work together. And we just didn't have either today. No individual was dragging everybody up like Bruno Fernandes has done in so many games. And the team as a collective was not working. McTominay working on his own as a defensive midfielder, sorry, not a defensive midfielder, as a right central midfielder does not work. Do not want to see that again. If we're going to play Fred as a sole defensive midfielder, play Van der Beek in front of him, not McTominay. He was lost in that position. Pogba and Fernandes underperformed today for the qualities that they have. Greenwood and Rashford underperformed today for the qualities that they have. I wouldn't say our back five made any catastrophic mistakes. I'd say Mike Dean made more mistakes than United's whole team combined, maybe apart from Pogba for that penalty. How Gabriel didn't get sent off for that clearly cynical foul on Greenwood when he had a yellow, that's just poor refereeing. He bottled it. No idea how that didn't turn out to be a red. But it's not the reason that United lost this game. Let's be honest, the whole United team played within themselves. Arsenal, we weren't really pushing, we weren't really threatening. I considered this to be a high-scoring, high-intensity game. It was played in second gear. United really didn't threaten Arsenal that much. I can't complain about a 1-0 loss because we really didn't have that much going forward. And now we go into the Istanbul game, and we need a win to turn it around. But it's a real fucking shame that this idea of 1 or 2 steps forward followed by a game that takes you 1 or 2 steps backward is a cycle that United keeps swinging in between. And I really felt that 5-0 against Leipzig might have marked a shift away from that. But this happened a few days later. So what do I know? Who do you think is at fault for the game? Is it Solskjaer? Is it the players? Is it both together? Let me know what you think in the comments below. But a 1-0 defeat to Arsenal, who really did not deserve a win. But United deserves to lose more. And that's why we lost 1-0. Architect of our own problems today. That's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below.